Okay, so I'm actually on page W3-2. We're going to start off with using the format painter. I've opened up the file ILW underscore 3-1, and I'm going to save it. Now, I'm not a big fan of file save as, so let me show you why. When you click on file save as, a lot of times it doesn't give you an easy screen to navigate. See, I don't like this. That to me is not exciting. What I'll do is I will hit the F12 key, and that gives you a better way of navigation. So I'm going to, I've already done this, so I'm going to click on, actually I'm going to click on this, get a error message that says it in here. Now notice that it's ILWD underscore 3 underscore update, and then I've said to add your initials to after that. So please remember to do that. So you obviously we want to replace it because I'm going to start from scratch. So here is a file that basically does nothing. So we're going to do some formatting, and then we're going to use the format painter. So the first thing it tells us to do is do the zoom slider, which I could care less about. That's up to you in there. I like to work in page width mode. That's just my personal preference in here. So we're going to select the title, update JCL. The easy way to do it, to select a line, is to go into the selection bar when you get the arrow pointing there and click one time, and does it. You can select it any other way that you choose, doesn't matter. And then they want to go to text effects. Well, text effects is this up top here, and wants us to click the down arrow, and it wants us to do in fill blue, accent 1, shadow, blah, blah, blah. It's a word art style, actually, which is the second word art style here. So notice that as I move over, of course it's being covered up, it shows you a preview of it. So this is it here. The next thing it tells us to do is change it to 24 font, and we want to do green accents 6, darker 25. So going to 24 is easy. I just go here. If you have a font size that doesn't show there, you can actually type it in. And then for the color, it wants green 6, accent 6, darker 25. So here's our green, and we'll go down to this, and that takes care of it here. All right, so we're good for this. Now remember, this is not word art. This is just a word art style. So bear that in mind. Select the heading, Career Connections Webinar, and do font 14, bold, italic, and we're going to change the color. So I'm selecting it here. You can use the mini toolbar here, or you can use it up top. Bold, italic, and it wants 14. And then we want blue accent 1, darker 25. So we can do that from here. Now notice that this is whatever was done last. So if you're going to do the same color, you could just click it if you want to change colors. So we want blue accent 1, and I think it said darker 25. Let me look back. Yes. So now notice this has changed to blue. And now we're going to do the format painter. There's two ways to do the format painter. Now, first of all, if I wanted to make a change that was just strictly the very last thing I did, which was to change the color of something, I could hit the F4 key. However, this is bold, italic, 14. Actually, it is not italic because I did not press the italic in there. So now that I did, I'm going to show you a shortcut. Is Control I, and that is a shortcut for italic. Control B is a shortcut for bold. Control U is a shortcut for underline. They usually tell you it when you hold it in here, so that's good there. Boom. All right, so we want to use the format painter. If you click on the format painter one time, then it will allow you to do it once. If you double click on it, you can do it multiple times until you turn it off. So I'm clicking on it one time, and then I'm going to go to the social media advertising, which is here. I'm going to click one more time here, and that does it. Now notice it's off, so I can't do anything. So then it wants us to select social media and double click the format. So it's already selected, so I'm going to double click it. And the way you know it's working is when you take your mouse off and you see that it's gray. So I'm going to click on the upcoming conferences here and click again. And it looks like that's all that I need to do, just to do those two. So to turn it off, I click on this here. So now I've done 6, and I've done 7, and now I'm doing 8. Control N. Control N takes you to the bottom of the document. Control Home takes you to the top of the document. So we have it over here, and it takes us to the end. And I'm going to type in prepared by. Wants a space and then your name. And then I believe it wants you to put in the date. So let me explain the date. So I'm going to go to Insert Date and Time, and I'm going to click on Date and Time. This gives you all the different formats, but I want to explain the difference between update automatically and just have it unchecked. If I put this unchecked, all it is exactly as if I was typing in the date manually. If I click on update automatically, it'll do the same thing. However, tomorrow, if I open it up, it'll put in the current date. It'll put in February 4th in here. So here it doesn't say anything about the update. I believe it says the third one down. So I will click on this. Boom. And I'm going to add a space and do it again. This time I'm going to click on update automatically. Now notice when I hold my mouse over it, it's grayed out. You may have a little hard time seeing it. That means it's a code. So that's what that does. Let's undo that, and we're good. And I'll get rid of the space here. That was number 8. Number 9, we're going to go, we've done number 9. Now we want to do the copyright. So symbols are pretty neat. So I'm still in Insert. I'm going to click on Symbol, and you could use the drop down, which really actually gives you the same thing. And the copyright symbol is in here somewhere, and it's right there. If you want more symbols, you can click on more symbols. We'll do that at a later date. So now we have copyright, and then we're going to type in JCL Talent. Hopefully I spelled that right. Obviously, I want to save my changes. Control S is a shortcut. So you can see that what you're supposed to look like is on page W3-3. And it talks about clearing format for text. So if I wanted to get rid of clearing the format for this, that just takes us back to our default, which should be Cabrera 11 and nothing here. I'll just click on this. It's not going to clear everything, just the thing. So I want to undo that. So boom. So that, bear that in mind. That is good. Now we're working with tabs. I am a big proponent of using the tabs that are in paragraph here to set my tabs. However, right here, however, the book tells us to use this. So this is a left tab. This is a center align tab. This is a right tab. And this is a decimal align tab. So, and these are indents in here. All right. So it tells us to select a bunch of lines up here. As soon as I find them. And then it tells us to, and I want to explain the difference between using a tab to set something versus a left indent. Here they want you to do the tab to set it. I would use a left indent in the very beginning, but let's follow what the book says, and you can see the difference, the pluses and minuses in here. So it wants us to make a left tab on the 1-inch mark, which is right here. Now notice I have all these selected. I'm going to click here. And sometimes it's a little tricky to get it exactly where you want. But now we have a tab on the 1-inch mark. So I'm going to go into tabs and just show you what it did. It put a left align tab at the 1 inch mark. The advantages of using this is you can drag it and change it. If you do it, you can delete it. So there's all kinds of different things that you can do with each one. So again, however you do it, that's, totally up to you. Now I'm going to do my best to finish at 9:30 or 9:35 to give you some time to finish up. So let's see how that goes. I have placed the insertion point, tells us to do that. It also wants us to do a 3/4 inch left and a 5 inch right. So here's the left. So we're going to do a 3 3/4, which is right here. And then we want a right. So I'm clicking till I get right, and then a right 5. Because I had them all selected, you can see that I have them on every single line here. All right, so now we have it in here. We want to hit a tab in the beginning of each paragraph. So if you're not sure what to do, if it's going to work when you have something selected, try it out because you can always undo it. So I'm going to hit the tab key here, and notice that it did an indent in here, which is what you'd really normally do, but we don't want to do that right now. So I'm going to click here before the W, and I'm going to hit the tab key, and it puts the tab. Now you know it's a tab because you see this arrow here. Then it wants me to do the same thing, and I'm not going to hit the tab key. I'm going to hit F4, and F4 does the very last thing that you did. So let me give you an example of this. I'm going to type in high. Attempt to type in high. Now let me hit F4 and notice that it typed in high. So it didn't do anything about bold, italic. All right, so let's type in high again. And let's make this bold, italic. Then I'm going to click here and hit F4. Notice that it only made it italic because that was the very last thing that I did. All right, so now we have the tab. It tells us to hit the tab before date and before cost. And we probably would want to get rid of the spaces, but in this particular case, we're just going to leave it. So I'm hitting F4 each time so I don't have to move my finger. It doesn't really matter which way you do it. It's totally up to you, of course. All right, so now we have tab, 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 tab. If I turn these off and you're looking at something, you might have no idea why it looks like that. So this is very helpful. And again, it does not print when you print that in there. So we now did the number 6. We did number 7. And it says number 8, select the 5 lines and drag the right stop to 5.5 inch. Hopefully I did not miss anything. I'm trying to go by memory. I'm going back and forth. So I'm just dragging this now to 5.5 inch. That is the... Go ahead.
For some reason, like when I click tab, it doesn't show me the arrow.
It's probably putting in a left indent in there. So you have this turned on?
Yes.
Okay. What it's probably doing is just doing an indent. So let me hit the tab key here and see what happens. So you notice that it doesn't show you this. The tab because it created an indent. Look for this up top here, then you'll know for sure. All right. So that takes care of this, and then we can address your issue whenever you need to. All right. So let's go to, let's see where I'm at. Select the 5 lines, move the 5.5 inch mark over there. If I forget something, please let me know because I'm obviously going back and forth. Select the 4 lines of the tab text and click the launcher. I think I may have missed something because I know I have to make it bold and italic, and I'll find that later on. So it wants us to select the last 4 lines in the launcher, and we want to do dot leaders. So here's the last 4. We don't want the dot leaders here. You have to do dot leaders from the tabs. And make sure, so let's do this here with a dot leader and put this too. Make sure that you do not forget to hit set. So I'm going to do this here, and I'm going to click here, and I'm going to click OK. Now notice it didn't put it here because I did not hit set. So just remember when you get done, when you do the dot leaders, make sure that you hit set. If you do it on the very last one, it's going to keep it. So that's like hitting set and OK. So just make sure if you're doing more than one, you want to hit set. But just to be on the safe side, hit set in there. So now you have these dot leaders over here. And this is what it will look like when you print out. And that's what you see a lot in table contents and things of that nature. So we did number 10. Tells us to save the changes. And there's an explanation of the tabs over there on the following page. So now we're going to add borders and shading in here. And we're going to select the 5 paragraphs. I may have missed the part where it tells us to bold the first line, and change it to, but maybe that's later on in here. So I'm on page WD3-6. Select the 5 paragraphs of tab text. Pretty easy. Go to the shading arrow, which is this here. And then we can do, see what it wants us to do. It wants blue accent 1, lighter 80. So we'll go down here. This is lighter blue accent 5, I hope, not 1. No, it's blue accent 1. So that would be this. And here, blue accent 1, lighter 5. That looks good. So if it's darker than 1, probably did the wrong one. Nope, that's right. It just looks a little darker. All right, now we're back. And then it says select the 5 paragraphs and do the, we want to drag the left indent marker. So now you're going to see, so right now we have the whole length of the page is in shading. So this is what the left indent will do for you. And I think it wants us to, is it the 1/2 inch mark? To 3/4. And then we're going to do the same thing to the right to 5 3/4. So we're going to move this right indent to 5 3/4. So let's go into paragraph and let's take a look and see what that actually did. So you can see we have a left indent and a right indent. However, the right indent means 75 from there, from the actual margin itself, and this is 3/4. So if you did a right indent of 5 3/4, it would take it all the way over here. That means 5 3/4 inches from there. So that's the difference. So just be careful if you're doing it that way. And let's unselect this so we get rid of that. That looks good. Now it says select the 5 paragraphs, and we're going to do an outside border. So here is our outside border, and then of course it tells us to get rid of it. Now, the reason why I have double in here is because I've already set it. So let me get rid of this here and leave it as none, and that should be in good shape. So let me go back to here, And that takes care of that. You'll see in the next step what the issue is. So now it tells us to select the 5 paragraphs and choose no border to get rid of the border, which is what I did before. And then it wants us to go into borders and shading and do a fancy border. Borders and shading are here. There's also another way to get to them. Now, if it tells you to click box and then click the double lines, but a shortcut is if you click the double lines, as soon as you click it, it will put box. However way you do it is there. Then we're going to change the color to blue accent 1 darker 25%. I believe that's this. And the width is going to be, I believe, 3/4. And of course we want to apply it to a paragraph. So that takes care of that. And you can see everything that I've done in here. So now the last thing we want to do is select the first line and we want to do bold and we want to change the color. So you can still do it from here. It's not going to mess up the line. So we want to do bold. And the color is blue accent 1 darker 25. That's blue-gray. So that takes care of everything on that page. You can see what we did on the following page. And that is it. I'm going to save it here.